I took a lot of flack for writing that he was the best pure scorer in Celtic history, and this is after he had scored 40 points or so with approximately 20 free throws. It's funny, it hit me that we've never had a guy at this town who was such a consummate all-around scorer. People say, oh, what about Havlicek? What about Bird? Well, John was a run-around without the ball guy. He wasn't a one-on-one guy. And Larry, there were circumstances when Larry could be guarded, and we all know that. Larry will tell you. And there were times when he wasn't really able to get his own shot. He needed help. There were times. There was never that time with Pearson's prime. The great thing about Pearson is that he could always get his own shot. And his own shot meant that he could either pull up and take a three. He had a great mid-range jumper, had that beautiful step back where he can clear space. He could post up. Terrific driver, ambidextrous driver, great finisher, and he gets to the line, and he's a pretty good free throw shooter. We've never had a more consummate all-around scorer. Doesn't mean he's a better player than John Havlicek, doesn't mean he's a better player than Larry Bird, but he's a very, very good Celtic player. And as years went on, and he was accumulating statistics and even a title and winning big games with big shots, the question began, where does he rank on the all-time Celtic hierarchy and the all-time starting five and so forth? Well, number one, there's never been a consensus on their all-time starting five. There may be a consensus on the Mount Rushmore of Celtics' top greatest four players, which would be in some order Russell, Bird, Cousy, and Havlicek. But you only have four spots to worry about there. But in the starting five, you have five, and you know, there's a lot of guys who are candidate for that fifth spot, whether it would be Kevin McHale or Sam Jones or Dave Cowens, who could play power forward, of course, if he had to, or in this case, Pierce. And that's going to be a debate that will rage on and on. That's fine. You know, I would have to say Pierce deserves that fifth spot. And I say that reluctantly in terms of my admiration for what Kevin McHale did, my complete love of Dave Cowens, all things Dave Cowens, and the fact that I think Sam Jones is the single most underrated player in the Hall of Fame. I don't think people outside of Boston fully realize how good Sam Jones was. But this guy was a killer, and this guy was absolutely one of the great pure scorers in the league history, and I think the best one in Celtic history. And he certainly grew up as a leader, as a captain. I think he turned out to be a tremendous player. And one thing people always forget about Paul Pierce, back in the transition era, when Antoine was still around here, and it was becoming evident who was the better player. But Paul Pierce almost died. Paul Pierce, I always thought, came back maybe a little too quickly from that incident. And I mean, he came this close from a knife plunging into the wrong part of his chest. And I can't imagine what it's like to overcome that trauma, to try to bring yourself back to where you were in your professional life and your personal life. And I thought he overcame that remarkably well, and I thought he didn't get enough credit for how difficult it must have been for him to perform in those years. But people forget that, and younger fans now don't even know that happened, but it did. He earned his stripes here. His number will go up. He will be in the Hall of Fame. He'll be remembered. I don't care if he wins 3 titles with the Nets. He's going to be remembered for what he did here in Boston.